Hello, everybody, and welcome to the CCA League Season 7. I am DRF, joined by the one and only Mewtwo. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Happy March to those who celebrate. And as we're getting into this Division 7 match between ReefRush and UT Technical Difficulties.
Yeah, and these teams are actually getting ready real quick. So, I'm frantically messaging them on the side. You know
Yeah.
what? We are all set to go. Don't worry about it. But we do have ReefRush out of the University of Houston. They'll be taking on UT Technical Difficulties out of Utah Tech. So this Div 7 matchup between teams with just a little bit of experience, getting a chance to meet for the first time. I am very excited to see what these teams bring out as we do get Clamblitz, Scorch Gorge on deck Mewtwo. These teams are ready to go, so let's jump right on in.
All right. We have ReefRush in the yellowish, and then we have UT Technical Difficulties in the purple. And as we see, it's not very abnormal. I think we see some standard weaponry and the heavy edit and the mint decav, but kind of unusual. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a different comp here, as I believe we do have the colors backwards, so we'll go ahead and fix that in just a few. But this early game definitely going to get defined by what these comps are, and so far it will be Houston that's the early aggressors, but Utah Tech doing a great job of slowing them down.
Yeah, two are down on Houston already as they try and scramble back into mid as UT Tech gets back into mid, trying to establish some dominance, but the Rapid does go down. That's not a situation you want to be in. Two are down on the side of Houston as, we see the UTU go back in, trying to find the Carbon Roller in mid being a bit of a pain, but as we see we have that cooler there, that's kind of like life insurance, helps you get back as soon as possible. But right now it just feels like a stalemate mid.
Yeah, it definitely is a bit of a stalemate. Clamblitz Scorch Gorge is a little bit of a trickier map mode to get a score off, let alone a sustained push. And at the Div 7 level, you can definitely see that these teams trying their best to figure out how to coordinate this together so that they can take control of that ramp, and that bubble actually very nicely placed, but because they went down, the rest of the team is not going to be able to follow up and take that space that the bubble initially provided.
Yeah, I think technical difficulties really needs to paint more to facilitate their carbon as they do go down, but we see the missiles coming out from Houston, trying to find the last two members alive on the side of technical difficulties, as we see the pro trying to do something, finding the zap with that bomb perfectly placed, and as we see the heavy edit applying some big pressure. And right now, Houston does have the advantage, but look at the carbon on the side of technical difficulties trying to find one, and they find the ball carrier, but two are down on the side of technical difficulties, make that three, and I think this is Houston's time to score.
Houston gonna be the one to draw first blood, and they pile in 50 points. Huge, and now the bubble coming in to establish some space, provide some security for the teammates to come in and put in 4 more clams on top of it. The Carbon continues to do a good job of just slowing down this push, but I think this push is finally done. So 62 points, Mewtwo. That is a pretty commendable push.
Yeah, 62 is not something to scoff at, especially on such a stalematy map like Scorched Gorge, and as we see, Houston still has a lot of mid control. Two are down on the side of technical difficulties. They are struggling to get in because the only real way they can get in is that crab, as we see on the far left, but also the carbon. But if the carbon goes down, then a lot of the slaying power kind of goes down because you have the Dread Rainer, the Rapid Pro, and the Zap, not really known for their killing power. But as we see, the decap on the side of Houston already flanking into Utah technical difficulty side, going down, but as we see the Rapid trying to fight a with the Tetra, but they do go down, and 3.5 minutes in, and it's not looking good for technical difficulties.
Yeah, they are experiencing a few technical difficulties themselves to try and retake this mid, but finally I think they might have just staggered Houston enough to be able to get back into mid. We do see the Dread getting some nice space here, but they're going to be forced to back up just a little bit as the Carbon goes down. So now back in favor, the numbers going towards Houston. They go down themselves. It's going to be the decap that continues to just cause a little bit of havoc. It's been probably the #1 issue for Utah so far in this game. They just can't get rid of Detonator.
Yeah, it's very hard, especially with a comp like technical difficulties, where like the only thing that would really want to fight is maybe Rapid from a long distance or Carbon if they could get the Shark, but it's very hard given that Houston is just having so much pain on the board, which restricts the Carbon's movement. Dreadringers tries to be a hero, but they go down. Zap tries to follow up to get on their dead homie, but they can't get it done either. As we see, 2 are down on the side of technical difficulties again. They lost their power clam, and now they don't have a pity one because I believe that was the one that they used. And you know, once again, Houston's already in their base again.
And here comes the Reef Slider, able to help find one. They do get the dunk. They're gonna pile in all sorts of clams, but the Carbon comes in and gets the stop. Is it too little too late though? They're gonna have to be real fast to try and get over to that basket with 8 power clams in tow to extend this overtime.
Yeah, we see the Dreadringer pushing up, but the Zap goes down on technical difficulty side. We see the Crab coming out from the Dreadringer, trying to find one. They do find one. They're trying to find the Tetra. They can get rid of this Tetra. This would be huge. Bitter coming in with the assist, but no, they ran out of time. Technical difficulties ran out of time before they could even score, and Houston takes the first game in this set.
A very decisive victory for ReefRush. As it was a bit of a stalemate early on Mewtwo, as you kind of indicated there. But once they broke through, I mean, they did everything right to be able to, hold those key positions right on that ramp, right as things were, able to kind of compound those specials. The bubble, the Reef Slider just made it so difficult. And Detonator, I mean, call it an MVP game there. It just felt like Detonator was commanding the offense, and there was just really no response from UT Technical Difficulties to get Detonator out of there.
Yeah, as we saw, there were times that Detonator did go on the flank on the left side, kind of taking the attention away from, the other 3 members of ReefRush, which allowed the Tetras to come in. And the bubble was just such an oppressive special because of the way Detonator placed it. A lot of the times, UT Technical Difficulties played a little back, and so they played outside of the bubble. And the only one who would really want to get in there would be Bitter on the Carbon on the side of UT Technical Difficulties. But if you get too close and, you just mistime your swing, then the decaf can get, jump on you and just swing in front of you and you go down. So I think what UT Technical Difficulties should do here for this next map on Splat Zones, Barnacle, and Dime would just be to allow more paint. I think Zap, I think Dreadringer, maybe, if the Rapid feels comfortable moving to something like a Heavy, just allowing Bitter to be the front line that they need in order to, rip through the other team, that can be very big for them.
Very well put. Couldn't have said it better myself. I think that's there are a lot of just little different adjustments that they could make. And as we do look towards the next map mode, Splat Zones, Barnacle, and Dime. This is one of those map modes that contrast to what we just saw in Clamblitz Scorch Gorge. Splat Zones, Barnacle, and Dime is actually very lockout heavy, and it can snowball very quickly. So I don't know if we're going to quite see that stalemate that we saw in game number 1. I think we are going to see both these teams really step up the pace a little bit. As I would like to see them just play a little bit faster, just take a couple more risks to be able to get behind enemy lines. We saw Detonator do a fantastic job of that. I would like to see the same out of UT Technical Difficulties, and I'm going to be really curious to see what sort of macro adjustments are going to be made here.
Yeah, if they keep the same comps too, I think ReefRush did a good job with that comp. I don't see them really making any adjustments, but maybe that I expect maybe to see the Decav and Tetra maybe come back so they can just run it down. Well, we see an Orange Zap on the side of ReefRush, and we see a Splatter Shot, a Jet Squelcher, and the normal Dreadringer with Slider on the side of UT Technical Difficulties.
Yeah, so definitely a lot of adjustments across the board. As we were almost anticipating a bit, Bitter and Detonator, the two folks that were leading the offense for their respective teams that last games, the key folks that are going to stay on those weapons. And early on, I said we weren't going to get much of a stalemate, but it actually does feel like a bit of a stalemate as UT Technical Difficulties finally going to break open through the gates here and really start to set themselves up. They're going to actually slow down a little bit to get the rest of the team in, so now we're back to a 4v4 fight as we get a neutral zone plus the flip. So Mewtwo, very early on, these two teams are going back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really sure about the play that UT Technical Difficulties did, like just not really taking ReefRush's side of the zone, but I guess it just worked out for them. As we see the Jet Sculpture just sitting in mid with that splashdown ready, just waiting for anyone, maybe Detonator with that bubble to come in so they can splash down and get rid of it right away. But as we see, ReefRush is already back on their plat. They have the cooler ready. They have the bubble ready on the side of Detonator. We see the splashdown being popped early. I'm not sure if I agree with that play, but 2 go down. They make it 3. The last one is Bitter, finishing the complete wipe of ReefRush. And as you said, this is a very lockout heavy map, and now as you see Bitter just taking such an advantageous position, but no, they go down because of the spawn armor. And as we see, ReefRush is going to take back the zone. Oh my god, this could have been a knockout in the first minute and a half, David.
It really could have been, and I thought that they had it. They had it in the palm of their hand, and as we saw, Bitter had a great look there on Detonator to put the nail in the coffin of this game, but somehow, someway, surviving and turning that into a nice 2v1 situation. Now it's Houston who is on the front lines trying to hold on to this zone, and it's going to be Quilly that pops the splashdown numbers advantage back in UT's favor, and they're going to be able to continue to push up a little bit, but they can't flip the zone, Mewtwo.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a 1v2, but they weren't able to flip it, but now they do. 2 are down on the side of ReefRush, make that 3. I'm John and that Splatter Shot Pro making a big difference in the aggression we saw from game 1, being able to, complement with Bitter, push up on that front line, have another Zuka ready. And as we see, we have the Zuka almost online. We see Anjon sharking for this heavy. Are they able to get the kill? Yes, they are. And we see the aura coming out from Anjon, but no, they go down to the bottom. We see the Reef Slider trying to come in. And they do find the Tetra, and the last one is Detonator on that bubble, but as we know, they cannot play it they can't place the bubble aggressively as they did in game 1, but now they do. They're trying to hold a defensive position, but we see the Jet Sculpture using Splashdown. 2 are down on the side of ReefRush, and I think it's over! It's over! They can't beat the zone in time! UT Technical Difficulties takes game 2 in a pretty dominant fashion.
We go from one domination to a different kind of domination. Both teams having signature wins very early in this set. And Mewtwo, I think that really makes what is to come even more exciting.
Yeah, for sure. And looking back on that game, I think UT Technical Difficulties made some great adjustments. They picked up a Splatter Shot on courtesy of I'm John to help complement the aggression from Bitter, the Carbon. They replaced the Rapid with a Jet Squelcher in order to get more paint down, especially with that Splashdown, which can really invalidate any sort of aggressive pushes that ReefRush might do. Mm-hmm. The regular Dreadringer with the Reef Slider, it's just a classic for splat zones, and as we saw, it can pick up some really nice picks onto damaged enemies. I just think everything went right on the side of UT Technical Difficulties, and credit to ReefRush, they still kept themselves in the game a lot, but I think they might have just gone comp diffed, kinda.
There was a lot of adjustments. So it's almost too many adjustments to really analyze and wrap your head around. I think the things that really stood out to me more so was the approach that UT Technical Difficulties took. They were a little bit more aggressive, and I liked that. But I think the key reason why ReefRush was able to get back in was that they almost played a little bit scared to overextend, and I can almost, and I see why, because, when it felt like that they finally had lockout positions set, they were in position to knock out, and suddenly ReefRush managed to turn it around. But I think that forced them to play, hey, just play back a little bit more. But that continued to give ReefRush those opportunities to get back in. So for UT technical difficulties, I think the main takeaway from this is play your game, play aggressive, because that's the way that you're going to be able to match ReefRush's energy to slow them down a little bit, because ReefRush wasn't quite expecting that gut punch here in game number 2.
Yeah, ReefRush kind of gave up an inch, but UT technical difficulties, took it as, okay, you're giving us a mile. And they damn near took that mile to that knockout. And, moving in, to this third game, I'm curious to see what the adjustment will be from UT technical difficulties. It's Rainmaker Manta. I like the aggression on this map. The carbon can definitely hold some ledges there and be a pain. The shot with the Zuka from I'm John, that's just a classic. I feel like you can't go wrong with that. And maybe they keep the Jet Sculpture for splashdown if they push and they could splash down the shield. But ReefRush, I think pain. I like the comp they have. They have Tetra. They have Detonator on that bubble, which can really help secure a checkpoint or even a knockout or just get more points on the board. The Heavy Edit can provide cooler. I just, like you said, I just think they need to play their game. I don't think it's really, I think they can overcome the specials that UT technical difficulties has to kind of shred Detonator's bubble.
Mm-hmm.
But, like you said, just play the, but we see a Wellstring on the side of ReefRush and the Splat Roller on the side of UT technical difficulties.
This is what I love about Div 7 in the CCA, because everybody here just unapologetically plays exactly what they want to play. You're gonna continue to see these dynamic adjustments, and it's what makes Splatoon exciting for me. So I'm excited to see how everything sort of plays out. The Wellstring is a very natural fit in Rainmaker, let alone Manta Maria, to be able to get over a lot of those ledges. As Houston going to be striking first, they do get a clear first checkpoint, and they might be able to get a lot of extra yardage here as well, as we do see 3 go down on the side of Utah Tech. The Reef Slider going to be able to find 1, but that is it. It's going to take the Blaster to shut down that Rainmaker. So despite what appeared to be a really dangerous situation for Utah, they get out with the checkpoint plus about 7 more points.
Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't go further, but the Blaster had to, shut that push down. We see I'm John on the Splat Roller, previously on the Splatter shot, having that bubble ready as a roller. But they're kind of in an uncomfortable situation because the Wellstring does see them, and it's kind of hard for the rest of their team to get in. As we see, it's a trade, but I think it's a trade that favors ReefRush. And as we see the roller go down on the side of technical difficulties, make that the Tetra 2, is flying a bit too close to that sun, getting killed by the Rainmaker pop. As we see Quilly unable to find the Rainmaker as ReefRush keeps it going, down to 21.
Oh, and a nice hammer there to help find a couple more players. Ace doing their best to pop this because they know they could try to knock us out right here, right now, but not going to be able to do so, as once again, it is the Slosher that's going to be able to shut that push down. And here it comes from Detonator. The knockout blow here in game number 3. Another dominant game here, Mewtwo.
Yeah, I think they're just starting to trade blows back and forth, but I this entire game was just had ReefRush written all over it. It felt like technical difficulties really had not much to respond with, and as we take a look at the comps, retrospect, it was kind of hard for UT technical difficulties to get back in. Rapid, okay. Dreadringer, okay. I mean, you can pressure with Reef Slider, but it doesn't have that immediate killing power. Roller, you need to get in, but it's kind of hard when you have really no paint to get in, and the spots where you're trying to go are pretty telegraphed by the other, which can be easily telegraphed by the other team. And Tetra Dualies, which can they could do their best, but I think they could also tell where you're coming from, and they might be able to read the role. And I think it was just hard once ReefRush really got that momentum going for technical difficulties to do much.
Yeah, it really was challenging, and I think that the Wellstring pick, while it makes a lot of sense on paper, it's really a very challenging weapon. Let's be honest. Yes, it pops the Rainmaker barrier very quickly, but they really didn't even get to utilize that aspect of the Wellstring because you have to be so careful about where you're being positioned. You have to be constantly painting. So it is just such a tough weapon to utilize. But I commend the effort. I think that they did what they could. But again, ReefRush kind of just swung the momentum back in their favor. They played pretty fast. They were running and gunning. And UT Technical Difficulties did everything they could to just continue to hit the stop button. Like, no, slow down, hold up just a little bit. But ReefRush was a runaway train. They could not be stopped.
Yeah, I honestly think UT Technical Difficulties just got very antsy. Especially after they got past the first checkpoint, it just kind of felt like they kept kind of feeding. But as we get into the fourth game, Tower Control and Hagglefish Market, we see the Decaf come back. We see a Splatter Shot coming in on ReefRush. As we see from UT Technical Difficulties, we see the Dreadringer with Crab coming back. We see I'm John on the Splat Roller again, but we also see the End Zap on the side of UT Technical Difficulties. We haven't seen that since Clamblet Scorched Gorge, I believe.
At least the gray one. Yeah. Yes, but early into this game now, both teams colliding in mid, not passing the tower in fear of getting shut down, and it's gonna be the Tetris that overextends a little bit. The flank from the Crab as well is gonna be able to help UT Technical Difficulties get the first control of this tower, but the Detonator coming in and absolutely demolishing the team. Oh, I think that was a triple Mewtwo.
Can't stop the Detonator, baby. And as we see ReefRush starting to take tower of their own, but we see the Heavy from Felix holding their ground, but we see the Trizuka from Rowlet being able to assist with finding the Heavy as we see them trying to paint. We see 3 go down on the side of Technical Difficulties. The last one is just this Dreadringer, and as we see, ReefRush is at that first checkpoint with really, no competition from UT Technical Difficulties. So I think, they're just gonna get the checkpoint for free. As we see the Slider fight too. Detonator's in the top right, and this is in our lockout position if they just, if ReefRush plays their cards right.
And I'm John with a risky play there right on the tower to be able to find one. Not going to be able to find Rowlet, but the tower is reeling. So I think the job was well done to at least stop the push and buy their team a little bit more time. So it's 31 remaining. That is where that opening push from Houston lands. And we've still got 3 minutes left in this game, but both teams, they are playing with some fireworks to start this game.
Yeah, Houston, we don't have a problem right now because they have a big lead and it's not stopping. We see the Zap trying to do their best to paint for another cooler, but they're just getting bombarded by so many bombs and shots. We see the Roller going down on UT Tech. We see the Zaps still trying to find their ground. Felix on the Heavy doing their best to shake off this shot from tower, trying to contend with the other Heavy edit in mid. As we see, it's a 3-on-1 right now. It's maybe a 3-on-2 as the members of UT Technical Difficulties getting back into mid. And as we see, Felix is just unafraid. They're just riding this tower. They might find the pick onto Rally because they are a little low, but that is if the Crab just doesn't run out in time, and it does. Oh, this is looking.
How is Felix alive
right now?
Like, genuinely, like I've been anticipating us switching perspectives because Felix probably should have gone down about 3 different times by now. Finally, gonna bite the dust from the Zuka. They had been playing with fire for so long, and it was honestly a miracle that they stayed on the tower as long as they did. Kudos to you, my friend.
Yeah, but that was not a great jump from Felix. I'm not really sure about these jumps either, and it results in a wipeout. Detonator with that aura. I feel like we've just been speaking their name the entire set. As we see, Houston just keep pushing the ReefRush. Can't stop the ReefRush. We see Rally using that Trizuka, trying to find Felix, and we see I'm John up there as well with the roller. They found one. Can they find more?
And it looks like they will, as UT Technical Difficulties stops the tower right where ReefRush had previously pushed it to. So this is going to give UT Tech an opportunity, but take a look at Aaron coming in with the flank. Are they going to be able to find value here? Yes, they do. Yes. Can they cause more havoc? It looks like no, not going to be the case, but they did force the Dreadringer to have to step back and address them. So despite the numbers being in favor of Utah Tech at the moment, it's still going to take quite a bit for them to try to match the push that we've seen out of ReefRush, not once, but twice now.
Yeah, we see Detonator just applying big pressure onto the Crab, onto the tower. Let's see if they are able to find one. We see the Dreadringer not able to use Crab in time because they got pincered, and the last one is just that the heavy on tower. And, you know, ReefRush just has like a stranglehold on mid right now. They use the Tacticooler to make sure that they can get back in time. 30 seconds left. All they need to do is hold for 30 seconds, and they are doing a damn good job of it right now, finding two members of UT Technical Difficulties. And as we see, the last two are just desperately trying to struggle, but they don't. They go down. 10 seconds left with the bubbles on tower. They're trying to find more points. They're just approaching the second checkpoint right now. It's looking like Raps right now.
I'm John was definitely the key to that final stop opportunity, but comes up a little bit short as Houston's ReefRush takes the 3-1 lead in this set.
You know, I'm not counting UT Technical Difficulties out because they, you know, as we saw from the Zones Barnacle game, that they are able to, you know, apply that big pressure, you know, get that aggression in, just, you know, be able to play their game. But these last two games, it just felt like ReefRush just knew what to do. And I think something that UT Technical Difficulties can maybe adjust would be their comp again, because this comp, especially on this map, it felt like the comp they were running in game one, where they really only had one like aggressive weapon, that was the roller. Mm-hmm. The other three were kind of like, okay, we're gonna help support you, and we're gonna try and enable you, but you know, it's just so hard when there's just so much aggression from the other side that, you know, you will not be able to maybe win that fight, especially when the specials come out, especially when Detonator on that mint decav just starts running at you and you just don't know what to do. But LeBron was down 1-3 before.
I was waiting for it. I knew minute that we saw 3-1 that you were gonna pull out a LeBron analogy. Go for it.
I've seen people be down 1-3 before, and I'm not saying that UT Technical Difficulties is LeBron James because there's only one LeBron. I'm just saying that they may be able to perform a LeBron James-like performance in the next 3 games. But, ReefRush, man, you got to be feeling good right now. You're up 3-1. But you know who else was up 3-1 before? The Warriors. So, you can never rest easy until that set count says, 4.
Job's not finished. There you go. Well, we'll add in some Kobe Bryant while we're at it as well. So taking a look at the game coming up, it will be Clamblitz Inkblot Art Academy. So kind of, now that we've gone through the first 4 games, Mewtwo, we've seen every mode once. The first 3 games were pretty dominant. It's kind of a pendulum swinging back and forth. ReefRush did they KO that first game? No, right? They got pretty close though.
They got pretty close.
Yeah. So we did see ReefRush dominate game 1, swinging splat zones. UT Technical Difficulties dominating that game, swing it back. ReefRush dominating game 3, and that tower control game was the first game that really felt back and forth like it was any team's game. But game number 5, this could be the set here for Houston if they could pull out a victory. Mewtwo, let's take a look at the comps. We see a couple of adjustments once again.
Yeah, a couple of adjustments from UT Technical Difficulties, deciding to get more aggressive with that Splatana Wiper and that Splash-O-Matic with that Crab special. And as we see, it's just a fight mid. We see the Tetras go down immediately. Detonator's really low. If they could find the pick, Ooh, they find 2 on the side of ReefRush. We see Detonator still playing in the mid, but they are alone right now. If they get picked off, this could be really bad, but they have support from that pro who used those missiles, and Detonator is just still holding mid. They find 1. Oh my goodness, I'm John. They find 2, but Detonator found 2 as well. We see the Crab in mid trying to find the pick onto Detonator. They are super 1, and if they are able to find it, this would be huge, but Detonator with the smart play jumps out. And right now, mid is once again a bit of a stalemate.
Yes, it seemed like that Utah did have a good look there to start, but Houston manages to reestablish themselves in mid, and we are once again in a bit of a stalemate. It really is, as long as one person is up, no fight is won or lost. As once again, we are going to see Ace start to be a little bit aggressive here. 2 down going... 2 down on the side of Houston. I'm John now painting a path with the bubble. They're gonna try to score here. That bomb just barely missing the bubble, but it buys Houston enough time to try to get back into position and see if they can stop this push before it happens. The hammer, though, gonna be able to find the dualies, and no, there is no push here, Mewtwo. No push for Utah Tech.
You know, I think it was a great position made. I'm John position with the bubble on their plat, but you know, unfortunately, I think the pressure from ReefRush was just too much for them to push. We see the missiles coming in. This might lead to something big. 1 goes down, 2 go down on the side of technical difficulties. They have it. It's a wipeout, and they throw 2 footballs in there immediately. It's looking, you know, I'm kind of getting flashbacks to game 1 on Scorched Gorge when they came out with such a huge lead. I'm John going down, make that 2. And the last 2 members, they're trying to do their best. The Wiper is not really able to do much. They go down as well. The last one's the Heavy, and they are looking pretty weak too, but 2 are down on the side of ReefRush. But the push isn't over. It's down to 27. The last one is this pro. They find the roller, but I think, you know, the smart move they do is just retreat back to mid and just let their teammates come back.
Yeah, that was the smart play there. They already put up a staggering 73 points in their opening push. It took them a while to get there like it did in Scorched Gorge, but they made it count just like they did in Scorched Gorge. So this game 5 starting to look eerily similar with Detonator able to find yet another triple, opening the path for their team to try to score. But I'm John in their base. They're gonna have to go back and address the roller, see if they can make sure that they can get that player out of their base, and they do. I think there was a jump out there. So I'm John now going to be back into mid, trying to help their team find a way into the base of Houston.
Yeah, I'm John just applying as much pressure as they can right now. They do find they do find 1 on Detonator, and we see Felix halfway to that cooler. I think this would be very huge. We see the hammer coming out, but they get canceled immediately. We see the Crab coming out, they are able to find 1, but the Tetra just runs through. I'm John is trying to do their best with that bubble on their plat. They find 1. They're extending a little bit too far, but they don't go down to that Heavy. And right now, you know, I think they have the picks, but they just need to keep going. I'm John with that aura. They might be telling their teammates, hey, we need to be more aggressive. We need to go like right now. There's a minute and 15 left on this clock, but it's just so hard. 2 are down again. I just feel like they just can't get a push going at all.
Oh, and that is a staggered wipe. Everybody from Utah Tech going back to spawn and trying to get back into the fight. This mid is just yellow. So yellow right now, and Houston is on the cusp of the set victory if they can just hold this position. I'm John trying to jump in from that right stack, gonna be popping the bubble, trying to help their teammate hold this position here, but the Reef Slider comes in to do a heck of a lot of damage there, and that is once again a stagger for Utah Tech. Detonator ready with a powered clam to try and put the nail in the coffin, but no, gonna have to back up for now. No need to force a score here if you are Houston. 20 seconds plus overtime, if that is Utah Tech can get a power clam.
Yeah, the roller and wiper can probably split clams amongst each other to just get 1 ball holder, but as we see, no, the last one is the splash, but they're in crab form right now. They can't easily get clams right now, and the game is over. It's over. ReefRush wins the set 4-1.
They do indeed. A massive game 5 once again shutting out Utah Tech in a Clamblitz game to seal the deal. Wow. What a game. What a set there, Mewtwo.
Yeah, it just felt like after that, that Splat Zone's loss, ReefRush was just like, okay, guys, let's lock in, and they locked in a lot. They just, I think they heard your advice of letting them play their own game, and yeah, they took it 4-1. That game was it just felt so dominant from the start. It felt like UT technical difficulties really had not much of a response that entire game. It just felt like they were playing defense for like 95% of it, and Refresh would just not give them an inch.
Yeah, no, they were not letting them get any inch there. Every time it seemed like they did, the defense was just so well structured. They did such a fantastic job of continuing to send Detonator to flank, surprise the members of Utah Tech to force them to keep looking in every which direction. They didn't know which way that the shutdowns were coming. So it really frazzled the members of Utah Tech to have to really slow down their offense. Every time they got a good look, they just couldn't quite break through the doors.
Yeah, and Utah Tech, I did like the comp adjustment. You could tell that they were trying to be more aggressive with that Splatana and the Splash-O-Matic, but even with the crab and the hammer, it just felt kind of hard because the hammer kept getting shut down. The crab, maybe they could have positioned the crab better onto like one of the boxes. That's kind of difficult when you have missiles from the pro and you have detonator on the decav, which and they could just once again just run at the crab. It was just kind of hard, and credit to Utah Tech. I think there was definitely some spark, like some they definitely showed some potential there, but I think it was just kind of hard against a
Yeah.
comp like that. It's just difficult.
Well, we do have two players here from Houston that are down to chat with us briefly. So let's go ahead and pull them into the call if I can find the right buttons to press. There we go. So welcome from ReefRush, Aaron and Detonator. It's Detonator, right? Because we've been saying Detonator for like half the match.
It's Detonator. It's
Okay,
Detonator.
it processed in my head about halfway through that match, and I was like, it's probably Detonator, huh? Like, we've been saying dud this entire time. You are not a dud. Anything but after watching some of that decaf gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, I picked it up kind of recently, just trying to learn a new weapon because I was coming into this with like, I want to be a new guy playing this game. So what's the best way to be a new guy? Pick a new weapon. And I was like, whoa, this weapon's good. It helps that it's top tier, but I'm having fun.
I mean, you're right. The decaf is very popular. It is, really making its way through the ranks, and you really handled it like a pro. So I for one was very impressed. I think Mewtwo was very impressed as well. Yeah. So kudos to you. We quite literally could not stop saying your name. Well. Look. Oh yeah, me too. I guess I'll hand it over to you. Do you have an initial question?
Getting into it, game one on Clamblitz Scorch Gorge, I imagine you guys must have been feeling good. But how was the voice chat like? Maybe after game two, Splat Zone's Barnacle and Dime, it just didn't really go your guys' way. How were you guys feeling? I know after game one you must have been feeling good, but how were the vibes after game two like?
I mean, I think we were still pretty comfortable. I mean, that's just game two. We have the rest of it. We've been pretty weak in zones actually, so it wasn't that surprising that we lost it. Just off that.
Even with me, I know zones is my weakest mode, so that's just something like I personally I know I have to work on, but as a team, that'll be our training points.
Gotcha. No, and that does make a lot of sense. it felt like that they were able to really run and gun, and it was a little bit more of a snowbally map too with Barnacle and Dime. So it almost seemed like you all did better on the maps that you couldn't snowball on more traditionally. Like Scorch Gorge takes a lot to kind of get up into the basket. Manta Maria, there's just so many close quarters to have to navigate. Ink Block could also be a little bit tricky to break in through. How does all of that kind of play into how you all play together as a team? Because the maps that you all really excelled in are the ones that require that next level team coordination.
Well, I think the big thing is like we have been looking at like VOD reviews of our matches, and we realized that like a really good strategy has been just following the leader. Like we'll see um uh Cap Aaron will go in for a push. We follow behind. He gets attention. I follow by. I get kills, or Tim will get kills, or like we'll just like we distract him and we splat him, and that's kind of how we're like our team plays with getting enemy attention. I think we've really worked on that.
I think I just have to agree with that.
Well, good answer. Mewtwo, do you have any other questions?
Um, I mean, I guess like after game one, were you guys just kind of thinking that, oh, okay, their comp is very like passive. I think we could just definitely have our foot on the gas and just outgun them, or was like how are you guys feeling? Just looking at their comp.
I think I actually pointed out that was like they don't really have anything that's super duper long range. So we actually because we made an adjustment and we dropped our Splatter Shot Pro, right?
Mhm.
To the Splatter Shot. I was thinking like, oh well, the range on that comp wasn't too oppressive, so I don't think it'll be an issue if we drop in range. And then we saw Cobra, so
Gotcha. Yeah, no, because that was the one thing that stood out to me in this match was just how dynamic the compositions are for both teams. So that makes it really difficult to have to make adjustments when you don't really know what they're going to pull out because it seems like they could pull out anything, but then you also have such a wide arsenal. I mean this almost like half jokingly, but like, is there a comp that you guys won't play? Or what? I guess the better question would be, what is kind of the standard comp for you all? How do you go about deciding exactly what it is you want to play? Because, like you said, that the pro was a big consideration there, as you pivoted, away from it initially, then brought it back for in the latter half of that set.
I believe what you saw game one was what our normal comp is.
Gotcha.
We make the adjustments as needed.
You know what? Simple enough and fair enough. Well,
yeah. I mean,
yes, go ahead.
I was like the only like dramatic change we really make is like Rainmaker. I'm a Wellstring fiend, and I mean Object Shredder a Wellstring. It does Rainmaker stuff. So that's probably like the craziest shakeup we do with that. But generally, it'll be Aaron and I running it down front line, and we got the two greatest supports slash like honestly flankers. Like Tim and make really good flanks as well. And then our coolers are always great with from Ace. So I think that'll be just about standard. But we love to experiment.
Well,
Yeah. I think this might be my last question for you guys, but like I know it's very early into the league season, but how confident are you guys that you guys are going to win Division 7?
I'm pretty confident.
I think we've got it. I mean, this is the team. I'm lucky to get such amazing friends and amazing teammates for this competition.
Well, that honestly, it's about the friends you make along the way, right? On your conquest to win the Div 7 title, you guys are definitely off to a great start to your season. Best of luck to you all as you progress through the rest of the season. We will certainly be following closely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you both. And that was Aaron and Detonator of the University of Houston's ReefRush following the 4-1 victory over Utah Technical Difficulties. Mewtwo, I mean, that was a phenomenal set. We got everything that we needed out of it. So, I think ReefRush, they're going to be set up very, very well moving forward.
Yeah, I think we've praised ReefRush as much as we did, as much as we could. So I think it's about time to close up shop for today. David, where can the lovely people find you?
You can go ahead and find me on Blue Sky DRF-Splatoon and on Twitch Triton DRF. But per usual, you can find me right here on the CCA channel covering all things Collegiate Splatoon and actually over on Splatoon 30 later for a variety of different looty things. Mewtwo, yourself.
Yeah, don't find me. I like
you
to.
don't want to
sure.
find Mewtwo.
Yeah, no, it'd be a mistake if you found me. I like to live off the grid. I only come in when CCA needs me to because I'm one of CCA's best commentators. Don't quote me on that, but I'm just here. I'll show up when I'm needed. But if not, you're never gonna find me.
Thank you all so much for tuning in to our Friday afternoon / evening, depending where you are, matchup. We will see you all tomorrow for an upcoming doubleheader.
Yay!